Hello everyone. First of all, a big thanks to FIIB for choosing me as one of the speakers in TEDx 3.0. I'm truly honored. Though I would have preferred being there in person talking to you. However, under the current circumstances, I guess this is the next best option. So thank you so much. When I was told that I'm being considered for this talk, I wondered what am I going to talk about. After all, what could I say that has already not been spoken? So I decided to stick to the one thing that I know the best, and that's me. So today, here I am sharing with you my life's experiences and lessons, hoping that you would find them useful in your journey. I'm sure you're wondering, how is this related to the topic flying against the wind? And I'm also sure wondering, why am I the one talking on this topic? Well, I'm Shruti Sharma, a corporate professional, an entrepreneur, an NGO worker, a proud mother, a wife, and I'd like to believe a good one, a sister, a daughter, a friend, and last but not the least, a breast cancer warrior. Actually, none of which really makes me an expert on the topic, except for the fact that at each stage of my life, I've fought against the norms. Never did anything unique or different, but always did things differently. And so today, here I am, happy and content in life. So here are the top 5 things that have made a true difference in my life. Lesson number 1. Your difference is your beauty. Embrace it. The 21st century has been all about innovation, startup, unicorn, etc., etc., etc. So basically, all of us have grown up, in my case I'd say grown old, listening to how success equates to doing unique and different things, and how that equates to the word innovation. But I ask you today, is that really the path to success? Or let me rephrase, the only path to success? Not really. What has made me stand out is the fact that I've always done things differently. Growing up, I was constantly reminded how different I was from my other super intelligent cousins and how I need to work hard to catch up with them. To top this, by the time I completed my studies and started my career, one of my cousins already had a patent in his name. That's right, I was doomed. But I was a good student, got good grades in my 10th standard, and decided to take up science because that is what was expected from me. But after 2 long years of struggle, I finally switched to economics honors in graduation because by that time I had realized science mere bas ki nahi hai. In fact, in one of the recent school reunions, one of my friends tell me that most of the people in our group used to say, I don't even behave like a science student. And I'm like, you're telling me now? In any case, I enjoyed my graduation, did well in economics, and this was despite the fact that most of the people in my family felt that I'm going to flunk in economics. Actually, which made me work harder just to prove them wrong, which I did. So after achieving most of the milestones that one is supposed to achieve at that point in time, that is, completed my graduation, getting an MBA degree, getting a job, getting promotion, and getting married, at the age of 31 years, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was at the peak of my career, at least that's what I thought at that point in time, and was planning to start a family when the diagnosis happened. The diagnosis did put a stent to my normal way of living, but it did not stop me from living. I decided to quit my job and take a break because I wanted to really think what I wanted to do in life. Sometimes a stop and a pause is important because it helps you gather your thoughts, organize them, restructure them, and then restart with a new zeal. It's like how Phoenix rises from its ashes. So cancer actually made me break free from whatever little inhibitions that I had about choosing my own path. Lesson number 2. When fears are grounded, dreams take flight. I've always believed that life follows a cyclical pattern. So every bottom is actually the start of a new crest. And also that everyone has their own journey, which means that everyone reaches the top and the bottom at some point or the other. What creates pressure or stress is that society expects all of us to reach the top at the same time. I'm not really a super successful individual, but in the past 9 years, I co-founded a company, worked as a consultant with 3 companies in a field which was completely alien to me before cancer, helped with the creation of an NGO which is working in the field of breast cancer awareness, became a mother, and also secured a good position in the corporate world. So what is it that I did different in these past 9 years when the first 7 years of my life I was just stuck with one career dream? Well, the answer is nothing. I just stopped overanalyzing and trying to create something unique and different. Instead, I focused on my present. I started living in my present and also seeing my life and my relationships more minutely. This helped me identify the areas of improvement and also the workflows or the thoughts which needed improvement. In other words, after living in a certain pre-planned, preconceived manner for the first 31 years of my life, I finally broke free. And this fearlessness helped me do things differently. Lesson number 3. Be honest to yourself. Choose your own path. Set your own milestones. I remember being told by my elders to look at the people above me. And I always wondered, why should I look at people above me and be miserable when I can look at people below me and be happy? In fact, why do I really have to look at someone? Why can't I just focus on my own path and keep walking? Each one of us are unique. We have our own strengths and own weaknesses. And it's important to be honest to oneself. It's important to realize what your own strengths and weaknesses are. What are the areas of improvement? What are the areas that you're willing to work on? And what is true ambition and true happiness for you? I've always been a very ambitious person. But after cancer, I realized that what really gives me happiness is learning new things in life. Being financially independent, having a peace of mind, and also spending a lot of time with my family. So I realized that these are the 4 factors that I must take into account while taking any decision. And actually this helped me grow professionally because now I was able to prioritize my time and my work more efficiently. This also helped me manage my stress and increase my productivity. Also, what I realized was that though competition being a very, very important factor in one's life, true competition is with oneself. So I started competing with my previous performance, trying to deliver better than what I did last time. And this is the most productive and the most stress-free kind of competition that one can have. There's no point benchmarking yourself with someone else because they're on their own journey. What may be useful and good for them may not be good for you, may not give you that level of happiness that they're giving them. So it's important to compete with yourself. Another important thing that I learned was, while choosing your journey, you should also understand that there are pros and cons to every journey, which means that you gain some and lose some. And hence, you should be very clear about what is it that you're willing to lose. Because there are sacrifices that have to be made in each path. So, create your own path, set up your own milestones, and take your own time to reach those milestones. After all, life is a journey, so enjoy each phase of this journey. Lesson number 4, declutter your friends and acquaintances. In my life, I've learned that there are typically 5 categories of people. The first category are the people who are inherently negative. They have a knack of turning any positive situation into negative because they think like that. These are the people that when you ask, how's life? They will always respond by saying, bas chal rahi hai. So, I had this family friend who called me up after my diagnosis and said that, don't worry, you will be okay, everything will be fine. And then she added by saying that I had this uncle who was also diagnosed with cancer. So I thought that maybe she's going to share some good survival story with me. And I really listened intently. But then she added that, he had a very tough treatment and he completed his treatment very bravely and fought quite hard. But poor guy in the end died. Now at this point of time, I did not know how to react. So I just ended up saying, yeah, I know, but I'm sure I'll be fine. Thank you so much. And these are the people that will actually end up making you feel negative, even if there is a very, very positive thing happening in your life. and so should be kept away. The second category of people are the people who show that they are concerned, even though they may not be really concerned. So I had this auntie who used to live in my neighborhood, and one of these days when I was coming back from my walk during my treatment, she met me and said, "सुना तुम्हारे बारे में बड़ा खराब लगा, बड़ी परेशानी हो रही होगी." So I said, "Not really, auntie. I'm quite fine." She said, हाँ हाँ I know तुम बहुत brave हो, but फिर भी दुख तो बड़ा हुआ होगा जब head shave करवाया, बाल नहीं रहे. I said, not really, auntie. I mean, that's fine because I know it's a temporary phase. My hair will all come back. In fact, I quite like my bald look. At this point in time, the lady became completely desperate and said, हाँ, but फिर भी, difficulty तो बहुत होती होगी. Now I finally thought that I might as well give her some contentment. So I said, हाँ auntie, क्या करें, परेशानी तो है, but फिर भी. Finally, that lady was satisfied. So these are again the people who should be kept away from any form of decision making. A third category of people are basically the people who are indifferent. So they are around you when everything is good or when they need help. But when it's time of you asking for some help or when the things are not going right, they will completely vanish. Definitely the kind of people who should not be there in your life. And then there is this fourth category. People who are concerned about you, but at the same time don't really believe in your strengths and hence are overprotective. Now, these are the people who will kill your independence and kill your creativity. So, even though they mean well, they should not be included in any important decision making. For example, I had this brother, after my treatment, I decided to go for a trek, a summit climb actually. And I told him about it. And he said, are you crazy? I mean, look at you. You've just completed your treatment. Your body's just gone through a lot of things. And you really want to go through another ordeal of a summit climb? What he didn't realize was that even though he meant well, this summit climb was very important for me emotionally. I really wanted to do it because I wanted to feel that strength. And that one sentence of his actually pulled down my confidence to a large extent. But I decided not to listen to him. And I went for my climb anyways. And I did climb, by the way. But what I mean to say is that even these are the category of people who mean well, because they will not believe in your strengths, they might end up taking your independence away. And hence should not be included in any important decision making. Last category is the category for which your happiness is the utmost important thing. For them, your beliefs and your strengths are what they will believe in. They will stand by you forever. And hence, these are the people who should be in your close circles, who you should contact when you're making any decision making, and who you should always stay connected with. So, declutter your friends and your acquaintances. The last lesson in life is to believe in life itself and just go with the flow. No matter what amount of planning you do, life is always full of surprises. The beauty of life is that it's unpredictable. So the best is to just go with the flow. In fact, it is like one of those initial swimming lessons that you take, and the instructor tells you that just loosen your body and float on water. Don't resist water. And once you've learned floating, you can never drown. Same is the case with life. Once you've really understood what your true calling is, life will take you there naturally. All you have to do is just be attentive and open to the learnings that each stage of your life gives you. I must share with you that at about, 5 months before my diagnosis, I was pregnant. But unfortunately, I lost that child. And I did feel bad at that point in time. But after 5 months, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I realized that if I had been pregnant at that point in time, it actually would have been worse for me because I would have been pregnant with cancer. Also, if cancer hadn't happened, I would have not quit my job and not created a company which was in a completely different field of technology, which we created for collateral risk management. This actually helped me learn a lot. It was immense learning experience for me. This company that I co-founded was finally taken over by another bigger company. And during this time, I came across this investor from abroad who made me research a lot about a lot of topics which he was working on. A lot of people that I know thought that I was wasting time with him, but all that research actually helped me get a lot of knowledge about the digital initiatives which were going on in the world, in different places, in the field of real estate and finance, which actually helped me land the 3 consulting assignments which I took up after I decided to take an exit from the company. And these 3 consulting assignments actually helped me a great deal in understanding the digitization initiatives which were happening in India, which eventually helped me get the current profile that I'm into. And all these steps made me realize that my true professional calling was strategy and digitization. So in life, it is very important to be agile. And agility comes from security. Security, in turns, comes from knowing who you truly are and believing in yourself. So as I mentioned, all the 5 steps that I mentioned above are interconnected. So believe in yourself, remain secure, and remain agile. The next time someone asks you that you're ordinary, tell them, I'm different. That's the difference. Thank you so much and all the best.